Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Tonight, I invite you to do something simple yet profound. Turn your eyes upward and connect with our nearest celestial neighbor, the moon. Right now, it's hanging in the sky in a striking and transitional phase, one that bridges the gap between half-lit and fully illuminated. According to the latest data, the moon is in its waxing gibbous phase, glowing with about 97% illumination. For those of you watching from Siakat and indeed much of Pakistan, this means the moon has been rising in the late afternoon or early evening, lighting up a huge portion of the night sky, and it won't set until the early hours of the morning. In this session, we're going to explore what all this means, not just astronomically, but what you can see, what it's meant to cultures across history, and even what we can personally reflect on during this beautiful lunar stage. So what exactly is a lunar phase? Put simply, it's the shape of the moon we see from Earth as its sunlit portion changes. There are 8 major phases that we all know and love. New moon, waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous, full moon, waning gibbous, last quarter, and waning crescent. Tonight we find ourselves in that beautiful waxing gibbous phase. The word waxing means the light is growing, moving toward the full moon. And gibbous simply means that more than half of the moon's disk is lit up, but it's not quite full yet. It's a state of almost, but not quite. Let's dive into the specifics for today. The moon is currently about 13 days into its lunar cycle, which takes about 29.5 days to complete from one new moon to the next. With its illumination at 97%, we are incredibly close to the next full moon, which is just around the corner. For our friends in Siakat, looking at the data for November 4th, 2025 as an example, the illumination is even higher at nearly 99%. The next full moon is imminent. But why do these phases happen? It's all about the elegant celestial dance between the sun, the earth, and the moon. As the moon orbits our planet, the amount of its sunlit side that we can see from our perspective changes. It grows from a sliver to a half, then to this gibbous shape, until the earth is positioned almost directly between the sun and the moon. That's when we get the spectacular full moon. After that peak, the light begins to recede or wane, starting the cycle all over again. The waxing gibbous is that final, exciting push towards peak illumination. Now, for the fun part, how can you best observe this from a location like Siakat or anywhere in South Asia? Tonight, the moon rises in the late afternoon and will dominate the night sky right after dusk. One interesting thing to note is that because the moon is so bright, the terminator that is, the line between the light and dark parts of the moon is very close to the edge. This means the shadows cast by craters and mountains are shorter and more subtle. It makes some details a little harder to spot compared to, say, a first quarter moon where the shadows are long and dramatic. Even with just your naked eye, you'll see a brilliant, nearly full disk hanging in the sky. If you have a pair of binoculars or a small telescope, you can bring out more details like the vast, dark plains called mare and some of the larger craters. Even though the shadows are minimal, you can still find contrast right near that terminator line on the edge of the moon's western limb for us in the northern hemisphere. Here's a great tip. Try to catch the moon right as it rises. When it's low on the horizon, a wonderful thing called the moon illusion makes it appear huge and often gives it a beautiful orange or reddish hue. As it climbs higher, it will seem a bit smaller, but will look sharper and whiter. If you have a camera and a tripod, this is a perfect opportunity for a time-lapse to capture its journey across the sky. And remember, the best viewing spot is one with a clear view of the eastern horizon. The city lights can wash out the view, so if you can find a slightly darker spot, your experience will be even better. A great exercise is to observe the moon over the next couple of nights. You'll be amazed at how you can see it getting fuller and brighter night by night. So why does this phase even matter? Astronomically, the moon's cycle or lunation is a fundamental clock of our solar system. The waxing gibbous phase fills the crucial gap of about 7 days between the first quarter and the full moon. Because the moon's orbit isn't a perfect circle, the time it spends in each phase can vary slightly. At this level of brightness, the moon actually casts a noticeable light down on Earth, creating those magical moonlit nights. This can affect the behavior of nocturnal animals. The moon's gravity also governs our tides, and during the new and full moon phases, when the sun, earth, and moon are aligned, we experience spring tides, which have a much larger range between high and low tide. The waxing gibbous is building up to that peak tidal force. For us stargazers, though, this bright moon has a downside. Its glare washes out faint stars, nebulae, and distant galaxies, making deep sky observing a real challenge. Beyond the science, the moon holds immense cultural and symbolic weight. For thousands of years, humans have used it to mark time, create calendars, and inspire art, mythology, and religion. A waxing gibbous moon naturally brings to mind themes of growth, anticipation, and preparation. It's the final stage before a great culmination. For example, in the Hindu calendar, specific lunar days, or Tithis, mark the journey toward the full moon, often associated with important festivals and rituals. While we give special names to full moons, like the harvest moon or the beaver moon, the waxing gibbous is the unsung hero. It's the build-up to the main event. Folklore often sees this phase as a time of gathering energy, a symbol of a project that is just about to be completed. It's the final stretch. This brings us to a moment of personal reflection. The waxing gibbous invites us to look at our own lives and ask, what are we building toward? What project, what goal, what personal journey is almost complete? The moon is so close to being full, yet there's still a tiny sliver of darkness remaining. It represents a state of near fulfillment, buzzing with anticipation. It's that feeling right before the big reveal, the deep breath before the final push. It's a powerful reminder that everything in life moves in cycles. There are times for new beginnings, for growth, for culmination, and for rest. Nothing stays static. So, tonight I encourage you to step outside or even just look out your window. Find that brilliant, glowing disk in the sky. As you watch it climb higher, notice its calm, steady presence. Let its light wash over you. Think about what in your life is in its own waxing gibbous phase, nearly complete, full of potential, and ready to shine its brightest. Let the moon's glow remind you of your own journey, your own cycles of growth and fulfillment. It's a moment to pause, to breathe, and to connect with something much larger than ourselves. What you'll see is a spectacular sight, the moon in its waxing gibbous phase. It's that beautiful, almost full stage, brimming with light and mystery. So, grab a warm drink, and let's begin our journey. First, let's talk about what we're actually seeing. The term waxing gibbous simply means the illuminated portion of the moon is growing. That's the waxing part, and it's more than half full, which is what gibbous means. But the real magic for stargazers happens at the edge of light and shadow, a line called the terminator. This is where the sunlight hits the moon at a low angle, casting long, dramatic shadows. It's the absolute best place to observe craters and mountains, as their features are thrown into sharp relief. Now, because we're in the gibbous phase, the terminator is moving towards the far side of the moon. This means the contrast isn't quite as stark as it is during a quarter moon, but it's still a fantastic opportunity. If you look closely, you can see the vast, dark plains known as Lunar Maria, or seas. Look for Mare Imbrium, the Sea of Rains, or Mare Tranquillitatis, the Sea of Tranquility, where Apollo 11 first landed. And of course there are the craters. Even with the naked eye, you might be able to spot the bright rays extending from craters like Tycho and Copernicus. The sheer brightness of the gibbous moon can make it a little tricky to see fine details, but that's part of the fun. You don't need a massive telescope to enjoy this. A simple pair of binoculars will open up a whole new world, revealing crater walls and mountain ranges you can't see otherwise. If you have a small telescope, even better. You can spend hours just scanning along that terminator line. For those of you interested in photography, the gibbous moon is a brilliant subject. A key tip is to underexpose your shot slightly. The moon is so bright that your camera's automatic settings will often overexpose it, turning it into a white blob. By manually adjusting your exposure, you can capture those incredible surface details. Using a filter can also help reduce the glare. And remember, the moon moves surprisingly fast across the sky, so you'll need to keep adjusting your frame. Have you ever noticed the moon looks bigger and more orange when it's near the horizon? That's not your imagination playing tricks on you. Well, not entirely. The orange or yellow color is real. It's caused by Earth's atmosphere scattering the blue light, just like a sunset. The size, however, is a fascinating optical illusion known as the moon illusion. Scientists still debate the exact cause, but it's a powerful effect. So tonight, try to catch the moon as it rises. You'll be treated to a truly cinematic view. Beyond its physical beauty, the moon has a profound impact on life on Earth. Think about the tides. Spring tides, which are the highest and lowest tides, happen around the new and full moons. This is when the sun, earth, and moon are aligned and their gravitational forces combine. Since we're just before a full moon, you can expect higher than average tides in the coming days. The moon's light also affects nocturnal animals. In areas away from city lights, the bright moonlight can change the behavior of insects, birds, and even mammals, influencing everything from hunting patterns to migration. For thousands of years, humans have used the moon as a calendar. Many traditional calendars, like the Islamic, Hindu, and Chinese calendars, are based on the cycles of the moon. The journey from a slim crescent to a full, luminous orb is a natural and reliable way to mark the passage of time. In many cultures, the full moon is a time for festivals and celebrations, a culmination of the month's cycle. The waxing gibbous phase we see tonight is the final, expectant step before that grand celebration. It's a marker of time, deeply woven into our agricultural and cultural histories. This brings us to the stories and symbolism. The moon is a universal muse. In many cultures, the waxing phase represents growth, planning, and anticipation. The waxing gibbous, in particular, is a time for refinement and final preparations before a goal is achieved. It's that last push before the finish line. Think of it as the maturity imminent phase. In spiritual practices, this is a time to fine-tune your intentions, readying yourself for the peak energy of the full moon. Of course, the nearly full moon has also sparked darker tales. Myths of werewolves and transformations are often tied to the full moon's glow. The very word lunacy comes from luna, the Latin word for moon, reflecting an ancient belief that the full moon could affect human emotions and behavior. While scientific evidence on this is mixed, the idea persists in our stories and language. In poetry and literature, the lunar cycle is a powerful metaphor for the human life cycle. The new moon is birth, the waxing crescent is youth, the full moon is maturity, and the waning moon represents decline and reflection, leading to renewal. So how can we apply this to our own lives? I invite you to use tonight's waxing gibbous moon as a personal metaphor. Think about your goals. What are you working towards right now that is almost complete? What final tweaks or efforts are needed before you reach that full moon moment of accomplishment? This phase is about momentum and refinement. It's the perfect time to check in with yourself and make sure you're on the right track. Here's a little challenge for you. Take a moment tonight to just observe. Find a quiet spot, look up, and let the moon be your muse. Note its color, its position in the sky, and the feeling it evokes in you. Maybe even write down a few words or take a photo. You could even start a mini moon journal for a week. Track its phase, its rising time, and any thoughts or feelings that come to mind. It's a simple practice, but it can build a wonderful sense of connection to the natural cycles around us and within us. As our time together comes to a close, I hope you feel inspired to look at the moon a little differently tonight. The waxing gibbous phase is a moment of beautiful anticipation, luminous, powerful, and full of potential. It's a celestial show happening right above our heads, a free ticket to wonder and reflection. Whether you're an astronomer, a photographer, a dreamer, or just someone looking for a moment of peace, the moon offers something for everyone. Let its growing light be a gentle reminder of your own growth, your own progress, and the quiet beauty that surrounds us every night. Thank you so much for joining me on this lunar journey. I hope your skies are clear and your reflections are deep. If you enjoyed this cosmic exploration, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more adventures into the night sky. Until next time, keep looking up.